Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the rabbit hole. My name's Connie, and V is taking a break this week. So I have with me my good friend, Nancy.
Hey, I'm Nancy. So nice to be on the podcast. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh, I've been so excited to have you on. You're amazing. And you have like the best Bundy knowledge ever. And we'll get into that in a minute here. But first and foremost, thank you, and also a big thank you to our whole, 45 fans that listen every week. I love the numbers that we're getting back. It's really fun to see that we've got people listening from not only English-speaking nations, but we have a lot of Asian nations listening. We have lots of Latin nations, so it's really fun to see those stats kicked out. People from Europe, I love it, and I hope you come back week after week. All right. Well, Nancy, as I alluded to, you have some Bundy knowledge. So I remember I said to you when I visited last, I was like, did you know that they've recently just linked another murder to Ted Bundy? So we just kind of like went down that rabbit hole.
We sure did. The rabbit hole we went. I think it's so fascinating that did you say 51 years later that it has been linked? That is bonkers. And that's crazy.
So to start off, April 1st, DNA technology identified a murdered teen victim of Ted Bundy. Her name was Laura Ann Ames. She was 17. In 1974, she disappeared after leaving a Halloween party. Her body was discovered a month later by hikers in American Fork Canyon. So, do you know where that is? I know, like, you're a native, what do they call you? Utahans or
Yes. So American Forks, Salt Lake City is obviously the capital. So American Fork is west. I think it's like 45 minutes from Salt Lake. And it's such a beautiful canyon. And it's kind of interesting because, like, when we were talking about this, I always thought it was like the canyons within Salt Lake City. So American Fork is like in Provo. It's
okay.
like the next biggest city in Utah. So that's like where, a famous cave is. It's called Tiffany's Cave. But like the lore of Bundy was always like he was in this canyon, in this canyon, and even as a kid, we were hiking near Park City, and there was always this lore that's like, oh, Ted Bundy killed somebody in this canyon. So yeah, kind of interesting. But it sounds like all his that was his dump spot, if you will, is that canyon.
Yeah, and again, I'm not native to Utah, but she was from Lehigh.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So that's Utah County. Yeah. So that makes sense. That's Utah County and American Fork is in Utah County. And in fact, that's the closest canyon to Lehigh.
Okay.
And back then it was super rural. Oh my gosh, you remember the movie like Footloose? That was filmed in Lehigh.
Really?
Yeah. And so yeah, back then it was like farming communities. So that's interesting.
So very remote, also a good place to dump a body and not be discovered
Yeah,
for a month or 2.
to
Yeah.
go up a canyon and be like, see you later.
Yeah,
Oh.
what I also found kind of interesting, national parks and I think just mountain areas in Utah are perfect places to hide bodies if you are a serial killer.
Yeah,
When we were tubing on the Weaver, I kept thinking to myself, I bet there's a lot of bodies just kind of like, strewn here, there, everywhere that we just don't know. I mean, think of Gabby Petito. I know she was found in Utah, wasn't she?
I think she was found in Wyoming,
Oh,
but
you're
it's like,
right.
was
Wasn't it
she?
Glacier? I think it
Yeah,
was Glacier.
something like that. But it's similar environment, like mountains, remote, no one's around. Like you can just dig a shallow grave, if you will, and just be like, see you later.
And honestly, if it wasn't for such high media coverage and people that had happened to be driving by that were recording that saw suspicious activity, they probably never would have found her.
Exactly, isn't that crazy? And now that I'm thinking about it, I think you thought it was Utah because they had an
I think they were
incident
arrested in
in
Moab or
Moab.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. They weren't arrested, but they had a domestic dispute where, they separated both of them, and it was in Moab. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but
Gotcha.
I'm pretty sure it was in Wyoming, and that's pretty remote as well. Maybe more remote than some areas in Utah, but actually, like the West Desert of Utah is like a pretty interesting. I think a lot of murders happen in the West Desert. Like,
Well, so part of the things that I looked into about hiding bodies,
how do you hide a dead body? Like, what?
I think national parks, forested areas are great. So here's the statistics. There is, for national parks, they manage over 85 million acres of rugged, heavily forested, vertically extreme terrain. So, to anybody who has a hard time understanding a lot of words in a row, that's basically like up and down terrain that is hard to go up and down. There's a lot of trees. It's out in the middle of
Rocks.
nowhere. Lots of rocks. Yep. Yep. But if a body is left on a trail in a remote area, it's very easy for it to go unnoticed. And skeletal remains, they'll blend in really quickly because in the sunlight they get bleached.
Mm.
Even with like the help of dogs, drones, helicopters, the density of the forest canopies make it nearly impossible to find somebody.
Yeah, and like so many cases where someone goes missing, they are discovered years and years later by hunters.
Yeah.
Because I think people stay out on the trails and that missing person, like, obviously gets off the beaten path somehow, but, like, yeah, they're usually discovered by hunters, and by that time, like, animals have taken the remains and yeah, they're hunters will discover them. Like, do you imagine if you're just, like, hunting and you're like, "Well, there's a human skull," like, I
Yeah. There's a
think that would,
femur.
like, mess me up. I'd be like,
Yeah.
"Is that a cow, moose, elk? Oh, no, that's" could
Nope.
you
That's a
imagine, like,
human.
finding could you imagine you're just like, "What?"
So we went ballooning the other day and I'm looking over the edge of the basket and there's husks of corn. I say to my husband, I say,
That's
"What if we found a dead body, like, in the cornfield?" And he's like, "Oh my god." Like, well, nobody else would notice but us because we're flying over it. Anybody else wouldn't see that.
right,
But it would be more discoverable in a cornfield than, say, mountains. But I digress.
right.
I I do like how you mentioned the carnivores, like the coyotes, the foxes, the bears,
Yeah,
but did you
mountain
know
lions.
too, the mice, they actually chew on the bones to get calcium, so bones could literally disappear over years because of them just doing their natural thing to get calcium.
That is so interesting.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I know, I didn't know either
Yes,
until again, rabbit hole.
rattle, I love it. It makes me think of the body farm in Tennessee. Do you know about that?
There's one in Texas too, like, near Austin.
What? Oh my
We
gosh, I
should go
secretly wanna
sometime.
go.
I wonder if they
Oh my
give
god, let's
tours.
go.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
We're like,
So
"Yes,
the first
we're
time
here for the body farm."
oh
Woo!
my gosh, I don't know if I could handle the smell, but the first time I heard about that, it was, like, years and years ago. I was reading the book called Stiff by Mary Roach, like, maybe one of my favorite books because 'cause I'm, like, a morbid weirdo, but it's, like, goes through the history of, like, cadavers and, like, murder, human bodies, how they decompose, and, like, they do talk about the body farm in Tennessee, and I'm just like, "That's so fascinating." Like, how
Yeah.
smart is that to see how a body will decompose, and you're right, I'm wondering if, like, do they, like, launch a bunch of mice and so they can, like I don't know.
Well, so I think the one that I know about, they catalog the bodies, like, they all get a number, they get a grid so they know where they're located. Some of them are put into, like, cages just so that,
Right.
scavengers don't take their bones away.
Yeah.
But
I
so,
think
like,
they do it all so they could study it all.
yeah, yeah, and some will be like, what happens if somebody was murdered and they put them in a body of water to see how they decompose in Austin, Texas, right? So,
Okay, speaking of that, like, whenever I'm, like, boating in a lake in Utah, I'm like, "How many people are dead in this lake?" And it kinda creeps me out.
yeah, seriously.
I'm like, "Are they gonna float up?"
You know
Ew.
what I
Anyway,
appreciate so much more about water in Utah is it's so clear. I tell you what, ain't no river up here, no lake up here that has water that clear. It's dirty and gross.
Are you referring to, like, the river we were floating?
Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, Zion, like, the Narrows is super clear, but, like, when we go boating, like, when we're on lakes, it's like a black hole, and it just freaks me
O
out.
okay, gotcha.
Especially, like, when I'm down I haven't been down to Lake Powell forever, but, like, there's so many dead bodies in Lake Powell.
Mm.
Like, people drown, right? And it just creeps me
And
out,
they
but
don't find them. And how long have they been there, you know? Yeah.
and, like, am I gonna be swimming and, like, their hand just touches me? I just, like, psych myself out, obviously, but
And
yeah,
then, like, a little finger bone touches you, and you're like,
right, yeah. And you're like,
yeah,
do you ever, like, see the stories where, like, a car is, like, all of a sudden
submerged in the
discovered and,
water.
like yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, they had an accident, they went missing, and, like, all of a sudden, like, the car was found. Like, could you imagine just, like, swimming in this, like, lake that this, like, dead family had been, like, sitting in their car forever?
I saw one just recently. There's one that was found, but then not far from that one was another car that went off the road into the lake, and they're both clearly accidents, but, like, okay, who's surveying these roads? Maybe they're too dangerous, and we need to rework the highway in that area.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Imagine just, like, driving along and then you, like, fly off a cliff and into the water and then, like, 20 years later, 50 years later,
Those are my, like, jump scare nightmares where, like, I wake up and I'm falling off my bed, like,
right?
that's
Oh my gosh, I hate those kind of dreams.
uh oh, yeah, but back to Bundy. So, let me give some facts about Bad Bundy. Between 1974 and 1978, Bundy murdered at least 30 women.
I mean, if we just talk about that, that's so many.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot. I know. How do you, like, have time for that?
That's a lot. That's like as many people as in like kindergarten classroom
I was
or
like,
college classroom,
how
whatever.
yeah. I mean, that's a lot.
It's a
And
classroom full
could
of
you
people.
yeah, sorry, what was it? 1974 to what?
1978. So like 4 years.
So 4
4
years.
years.
I mean, if you put it into perspective, like, I've only been on, like, 2 dates in 5 years, maybe 3. So we're talking, like, 30 dates in 4 years, like, kind of? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, how
Yeah.
do you have time for that?
I
Actually,
know.
that's what
That's
I'm getting at. How do you have time? How do you have time to, like
but like the normal person, you're right though. Like I don't get out that much. So I mean I get out for other things, but like let's like dates with my husband, like that doesn't
and
happen
that's,
very
like,
often.
what he was doing. He was, like, meeting women, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's, like, some dedication. That's some
He's like, hey, baby, come have fun on my little bug so I can strangle you later.
growth and then
Yeah.
do really bad things later on. Ew.
Ew. So again, like he started in Washington, he murdered in Utah, Colorado, Florida, and they were all like the same type. And I remember we kind of talked about
Yes.
this.
Yeah, brown
So
hair with,
long
like,
brown hair,
long and, like, with a part
a
and
middle part.
like, all of yeah, middle part yeah, super beautiful.
Yeah, late
He definitely
teens,
had his
early
type.
20s. Yeah, definitely. He approached victims by being friendly, charming, and trustworthy, like pretending he needed help by acting injured. So, those of you who have seen Silence of the Lambs, that was the inspiration for Buffalo Bill. But again, he was notorious because he was charismatic, intelligent, charming. He basically fascinated the public because that is not what you envision a serial killer to look like.
No, not at all.
So I'm interested because I think I've given a good background, but I want to hear your personal takes. Well, first of all, let me back up a little bit. I know if I think back to who is my first serial killer, like who's the one that I remember, it's not Ted Bundy because I was too young for that. I probably wasn't even born yet. No, I wasn't born yet. I wasn't even born yet. But the serial killer that I remember was actually Jeffrey Dahmer.
Ew, he's, like, the creepiest one.
Oh, no, he's so creepy, but, like,
Wait,
growing
you
up in
actually remember it, like, in the news and stuff? Oh my god, how interesting.
so probably similar to you because, you have a Utah connection. I have a
Yeah.
Midwest connection, and I was in Wisconsin at the time, and I remember seeing the news coverage for
Oh my god.
when they busted him.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, that is so fascinating.
Do you remember, like, any certain serial killer or no?
Such a great question because, like, a long, long time ago, this was like before podcasts, and like I just somehow I got my hands on a Ted Bundy book, and it was like the author that was his friend that worked with him in Washington.
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up.
Rice? Wasn't it Rice?
And
Anne Rice?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
No, let me look it up really quick. But it was interesting because I remember like I was probably like in my early 20s and I was reading the book and I was obviously living at home and my dad's like, "Oh man, Ted Bundy had," and I think like I picked it up like, yeah, he's my first serial killer because he had so many Utah ties, right? I was reading the book about Ted Bundy, and it's written by you're close. It's by Anne Rule, so it's like this stranger beside me. And so yeah, I was reading that, and my dad's like, "That is like Ted Bundy was terrible," and like he alluded to like some bad things that he did, like going to visit his victims, like necrophiliac, like
Yeah.
is that how you say it? Necrophilia.
Necrophiliac? Yeah.
Yeah. When my dad told me that, I was like, "What? Like, what the hell? Like, gross."
Yeah,
But
like, I know people don't talk about it a lot because it's not kosher, if you will. He was known to go back and find them again.
I died. Like, after my dad, like, because Anne Rule doesn't talk about any of that in her book.
Well, because she didn't know him that way.
Yeah, it's really gross.
I'm pretty sure they worked at, like, a suicide hotline, and they talked people off the
Oh my
ledge.
god, they did. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
And they became really, really good friends. But like, can we just like go back but like, how would you just like want to go do that to a dead body? Like, do bad things? Like,
Well,
ew.
yeah, again, like, I would say the large majority of us can't imagine doing anything like that.
Well, that's
But,
because 'cause we're not psycho serial killers, but, like,
yeah.
that's really gross. And, like, a body is pretty gross when it decomposes, so could you imagine, like, the smells and like, how do you do that?
So, kind of along these lines, right? I was thinking, like, what makes a person such a monster like that, right? So, what all serial killers, or not all, but a lot of serial killers have in common is that they were spoiled rotten growing up. Maybe it's an entitlement thing. I don't know. But I've also heard that a lot of serial killers also have in common a head injury as a child.
Yes. Head injury and then, like, mommy issues. Like, I'm pretty sure there's a serial killer down the street from my house, and he's, like, 11? I don't know. But,
Stop
you
it.
know, they had no, I'm serious. They hurt animals, they're really aggressive
Oh,
towards
that's
their
another thing
mothers.
too.
Yeah, and the head injury or, like, a mother that was, like, abusive. Like, Dahmer is pretty interesting, like, I think he had some mom issues, and I think he had a head injury, and I'm pretty sure Bundy did too, I can't remember, but it's that I feel like that's so interesting.
I think that they've debunked. So here's the problem, right? So Netflix had the Dahmer documentary, which I think was fabulous. I watched it.
It
I
was
was
really good.
like glued
It was
to
hard
it.
to watch.
Yeah, obviously he was my first serial killer, so I was into it. But contrary to that Netflix documentary or series, he actually had a fairly good childhood.
Oh, interesting. Like, according to Google, he didn't have a injury either, a head injury.
Okay. Okay. So maybe they had fine childhoods and they were just I don't know if they're spoiled or
Remind me
not.
what Dahmer, like.
Yeah, so he was gay, I think,
Yeah,
and he had an affinity for control. Oh my gosh, if you remember not the first Silence of the Lambs, but there was like a follow-up Silence of the Lambs, cut open somebody's skull. They were still alive, but he was controlling them with their brain. And so that's based off of stuff that Jeffrey Dahmer was trying to do, like, he would mess with their skull too and try to keep them alive while he was trying to do, I don't know, something to control
interesting.
them. Yeah, he's a sick guy, like,
Oh my
yeah.
god, I really didn't know about Dahmer until I was, like, maybe in my late 20s, like, I was at a Sundance screening, like,
Festival, yeah,
Sundance.
mhm.
Yeah, and, we had, like, a private screening, and it was a movie about Dahmer, and, like, it was so graphic and disgusting, and, like, I everyone left. I was so sick to my stomach because it was so graphic, and, like, I
Yeah.
was like, "What?" And at the time, I didn't know it was based on Dahmer. Like, I was just like, "What is" like, this is the sickest meat I've ever seen, but yeah, like, ew. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's, there is a such thing as going too far.
yeah, and this movie did, but obviously it was, like, based on facts on Dahmer, but I'm like, "Dang, that's" it's it's so fascinating to me, and I think that's, like, why I really love true crime and serial killers, because 'cause I'm like,
'Cause you're like, how do you get
"Have"
to that point where you think
yeah,
you can do something like that to people repeatedly?
like, how do you just, like, bang a dead body? Or how do you like, in Dahmer's case, like, how do you chop them up and eat them or whatever? You're so
Yeah, so weird, so weird. So, Nancy, your dad
oh, Nancy,
has
right,
a
I'm like
connection. You're like, "Who's Nancy?" "You're Nancy." For today.
I almost just said that. Okay, so it's super interesting because, like, obviously, like Teddo was, Theo, Teddy, whatever. He was in Salt Lake for a couple years,
He
and
went to
I think it's
university there, right?
yeah, like he was at the University of Utah as a law student in 1974. So anyway, so like again, the lore. So I always thought it was like my aunt's friend went on a date and she escaped. And anyway, I called her recently and she's like, no, 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 that's not what it was. But she is friends with some relatives of Nancy Wilcox, Bundy's first victim. And she disappeared October 2nd. And she actually is like, is still unresolved. And yeah, they've never found her. Like, and she totally fits the profile of his victims. Like, anyway, like I was chatting with my dad because like I heard that my dad knew the police officer that actually arrested him, and so when I talked to my dad about it, he used to work with the arresting officer that, like, arrested Bundy, and so that was super interesting. So, yeah, like, it's connected and, like, obviously, like, American Fort Canyon is very close to here, so there's just a lot of ties to Bundy here in Utah, and it's just so fascinating, and again, like, he was my first, serial killer that I, like, really
Paid attention to.
yeah, yeah, so it's so interesting, and then, like, yeah, I kinda did a deep dive on, like, the history and, like, how he was in prison or it was in jail in Colorado and he escaped, but, yeah, so I guess the arresting officer was Bob Hayward, and, like, he used to work with my dad, and so I guess they, like, would talk about it, and it's just crazy, like,
So what does your
yeah,
dad I mean, what does your dad have to say about it?
just so bonkers that he's, like, working with, like, that arresting officer and, like, it was just a hunch, like, he pulled him over.
And was like, "This guy is not right." Yeah, I mean, that's what
Well,
it sounds
he
like.
had yeah, and he was just like, "What the hell?" Like, he had all he had items in his trunk, like rope, gloves, like, just stuff that you really shouldn't have in your trunk, like, you're like
Yeah, like a murder kit.
yeah,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah, so, Bob arrested him. So, could you imagine if, like, he didn't? Like, wow, kinda
Yeah, he
crazy.
would've kept going. I mean, seriously.
Yeah,
Okay, so you mentioned Nancy Wilcox. So
yeah,
she was, I think, the first victim in Utah.
they've never found her. She's still missing.
Right. So she was a 16-year-old cheerleader from Holiday who is believed to
Okay,
be
I,
his
like,
first.
actually live by holidays, so that's, like, super creepy.
Oh, how far is that from you?
I don't know, like 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, that's crazy. That's creepy.
And like my aunt is friends with the family and like yeah, it's very
Yeah.
close from my house.
So the reason she's tied is because he confessed to her murder before his execution, but
He-
the remains have never been found.
oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yep. And then we have Melissa Smith, a 17-year-old daughter of Midvale police chief. She vanished after a night out, and her body was discovered 9 days later in the mountainous terrain of Summit Park, displaying signs of blunt
Wait,
force trauma.
wait, shut up, Summit Park. Oh my gosh, this is so interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, so I actually hike in Summit Park all the time. I'm up that canyon, like, in that area, like, maybe once a month, and, a long time ago when I was, like, I don't know, like, 18, there was this, like, weird cabin up there. It was just, like, this janky little, like, cabin. My brother would be like, "Oh, Ted Bundy would bring his victims up here and murder." You know what I mean? Like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that." I thought it was just, like, a lore.
No, like, this is real. Yeah. Yeah.
So what if I'm, like, hiking in Summit Park and I come across a skull? So I'm telling
Yeah.
you, it's creepy.
I
Did they
know.
find her?
It didn't say that they didn't find her, so
Oh,
I'm
it
thinking
did,
that they
because
did.
yeah,
Yeah.
deer hunters found her. Oh my god, that's
Yeah.
creepy. That's, like, right across the street from my parents' house. Creepy.
That is crazy. Well, and then again, we have Laura Aim, who we talked about earlier, and the DNA profile fit. She was another one that I think it was maybe even the day before he was executed that he was like, "Yep, I did that one too." And 51 years later, they confirmed it with
The
DNA.
DNA.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and
So,
it looks like she was from Davis County, so that is, like, 25 minutes north of Salt Lake. So, it sounds
yeah.
like he was just, like, hitting the Wasatch Front. So,
Okay.
that's so interesting.
Yeah, another one, Deborah Kent, November 8th, 1974. 17-year-old disappeared from high school in Bountiful.
Oh, yeah.
So she was another one that before execution, he was like, "Yep, I did that one." And then a tiny
Oh,
bone
interesting.
fragment recovered from the area was positively matched to Kent's DNA. And the last victim from Utah is Susan Curtis, June 27th, 1975. She was a 15-year-old who went missing while attending a youth conference in Brigham Young University in Provo, and her body has never been found.
Oh, dang. She's in the mountains.
Probably. All right. So, in a nutshell, Bundy's Utah spree came to a close in August of 1975 when your dad, Buddy, did a routine traffic stop that led to his arrest. So, discovered a trunk filled with handcuffs, ski mask, crowbar, trash bags, and then he was convicted of kidnapping Carol DeRanche, who was one of his escapees from the mall. I've seen interviews with her from an FBI profiler, and it is chilling because
What? I
she's
haven't seen that. That sounds
yeah, like,
crazy.
I think he picked her up in a mall
Wait,
parking lot
hold on. So he took her from Fashion Place Mall. That's like my mall. That's where it's just down the
where
street
you
from
grew up
me. Um,
shopping, doing your 90s mall stints.
no, it's like right now. Like I went to the mall the other day. I went to that mall the other day. That's
No,
crazy.
because you know how, like, you have a mall that you grew up as a teenager and you're like, "That's
Yeah.
my mall," or I don't know about
Yeah.
nowadays. Nowadays, it's probably like, "Oh, I went to the place by Target, the outdoor shopping
Well,
center."
no, I'm an elder millennial, so like I totally grew up with those malls. The two malls that I grew up with are like totally torn down. But the Fashion Place mall that he tried to kidnap Carol is that's just down the street from my house.
So correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it something to do with he was like, "Yeah, I need to bring you to the police station because somebody tried to steal your car," or something like that?
Yeah, it sounds like he was posing as a detective, claiming that her car had been broken into.
Yeah, and I think he was being totally nice, and then when she realized that they were going further and further away from where he said that they were going, then he was like, "I'm gonna kill you." And she was like, "Haha, that's really weird to say."
She's like, I'm gonna jump out of the car. See ya, bye.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
Yep.
what a badass bitch.
Bye-bye. Peace out.
Badass bitch. Yeah, she jumped out
Badass.
of the car. Honestly, that is like I'd never that's new to me, so I like kind of want to do a rabbit hole on that situation.
I mean, the whole thing of, like, as
It's
women,
bonkers,
it's like, "Oh, you're
right?
just trained to be polite." Like, "Oh, we're going the wrong way. Can we please turn around?" Like, she was like, "Fuck
Right.
that. I'm out of here," you know?
They're gonna jump out of this car. See ya, bye.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So, okay, another thing that fascinated the public and you briefly touched on was, how he escaped custody twice in Colorado.
What? That's
Yeah,
bonkers. Like, get
yeah,
your shit together.
yeah. So, okay, 1977. How did he wind up in Colorado prison?
So it's kind of interesting. Like, he carried out two escapes. from
Did he
this,
wind
like,
up
small.
there did he wind up there because he's suspected of killing people, or
Okay, so it talks about, like, that Utah mall situation, blah, 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 then it talks about oh, yeah, oh my gosh, Carol was gosh, she's beautiful. She's still alive, I think, but
they also say that, they all looked like his ex-girlfriend, and he may have been trying to get back at her by doing all these murders with these
oh, it's
ladies.
really good.
Yeah, dirtbag.
Okay, so it just talks about how he's found guilty for kidnapping and then sentenced to a max of 15 years in the Utah State Prison, but then, like oh, okay, so then, like, meanwhile, it sounds like the detectives found evidence, linking Bundy to a Colorado murder,
So
so it
then
sounds
they
like he
transported him there to stand trial?
yeah,
Aw, you
yeah.
idiots. Ugh, just leave him
I mean
in Utah. Like, come
yeah.
on.
Oh, yeah, so he was transferred from Utah to Aspen, Colorado. And obviously at that time, like Aspen's like this little baby town. Oh, that's what's so interesting. He was like allowed to assist in his own defense. Like you guys know about that, right? Like he
Yeah,
well, I mean, he
yeah.
did study law in Utah. So but yeah, it was kind of interesting because he didn't have to wear like shackles or handcuffs. He was just like allowed to walk through the courtroom and into the law library. So it just sounds like
Which
he
is
just
how he escaped, I
basically was
think.
like, see you later. Yeah, because it just says he just walked right out of there. But
Okay, so he escaped again twice in Colorado. Like, come on, Colorado. He lost a bunch of weight by diet and exercise so he could squeeze through like a ceiling tile or some sort of hole in the ceiling.
what?
Yeah, and
Oh boy.
then jumped onto another apartment and walked out to the street.
He's like, see
Yeah.
ya. Don't want to be it.
Yep. And then the second time, I think what happened is he jumped out the window at the courthouse and then just kind of kept walking. I mean, and again, it was one of those things where he was like, "Yeah, I'm representing myself. I need to go to the law library." And they're like, "Okay."
Bye.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah, have fun because you're a lawyer and not a murderer.
Well, what's kind of interesting is like after Aspen, he was moved to Glenwood Springs, and like that is a very, very small town in Colorado. And his cell wasn't even secured. Like I'm like, what? Get it together.
Yeah, yeah.
Like no wonder why it escaped. And then he just like went to Florida and like wait, all hands.
So, what I think is
Hey,
so fascinating about Florida is that whole time period in life.
Lord.
Like, so he escapes, gets on a plane, no problem, goes to Florida.
I know he's like, bye.
You would never be able to do that now. There's no way. No way.
No way.
He'd be
Rough.
caught, arrested, you know, get in a fight with somebody on the airplane, whatever. But like they would
What
catch him
up?
at security and be like, "No, you're the guy that we're trying to catch right now." So,
Right? So weird.
yeah,
Welcome to the 1970s.
right. So, 1979, Florida. What's actually also kind of groundbreaking and made this very interesting was this was one of the first heavily televised criminal trials. He represented himself. He was sentenced to death and again, challenged the stereotype that all criminals look and act threatening. The ladies loved him physically. He was attractive. He was articulate, educated, socially skilled.
Charming.
Yeah, charming guy. And I think Zac Efron did a really great
Oh,
job
yeah.
because this is true. So, like, the, documentary that Zac Efron where he played Ted Bundy, he actually lost it on one of the victims because the victim wasn't answering the questions how he wanted. He was like, "You have to answer these questions!" And that's when people started to view him differently. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
I need to watch that.
It's so good. He did such a great job, honestly. It's fascinating, and even now, I've watched, cases about people on True Crime 2020. I love Dateline. Dateline's one of my favorites with Keith
Oh,
Morrison.
I love Dateline.
Oh, I love Keith Morrison. But either way,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
there are still criminals that I mean, ladies will write to them. They get married to
Oh,
people
yeah.
in prison. It's crazy. Like,
It's so
come
weird. I'm
on.
like, get a life, lady.
Yeah, there is a guy, I think it's always Florida. Florida has I don't know, something in the water, but it's always Florida. You know, the Florida man, right? It was always like, "Florida man, wrestle the gator." Anyways, some of these ladies believe the bullshit that they say, like, "I didn't really do it. It's a big misunderstanding." And then they go to trial while supporting these guys, and then they're like, "Oh, he actually probably really did do this." And then you're like, "Duh."
It's
Yeah.
really weird. Could you imagine? Ew.
No, I can't, like, it's gross. It's so gross.
Right?
Yeah,
I'm like,
I wanna be with a murderer. No. No, 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 no. Like, his fantasy's probably strangling me to death, put me in the mountains, and revisiting me to do whatever.
it's actually like such a nice way to put it.
Yeah, revisit me, baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have, like, any closing thoughts on Ted Bundy?
No, I just like I said, he's just like my first serial killer, and it's just so interesting that like my family has ties to it,
Like, a
right? Like,
connection? Yeah.
yeah, and it's bonkers. Just like we didn't really touch on like the Florida murders, but like the way that that happened, it's just like what?
Brutal. Yeah.
Yeah, like
And there was a survivor from that one too, if I remember correctly.
right?
So, I think the Florida murders were the worst. I don't wanna say the worst because there's some people that are not accounted for and are
They're
probable
just
murders,
messy.
but
And,
super messy. Like, he got totally torqued and pissed and went on a rampage in, like, a
yeah.
super visible what was it, like, a college dorm? Like, "What are you doing,
Hmm.
Ted?"
I think it's a sorority house.
Yeah, it's almost like he wanted to get caught or something. I don't know, but
It's so interesting, but yeah.
and I think one of the things that caught him was, the teeth marks from where he bit somebody.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. He was sloppy, super sloppy.
It was super sloppy. But like it's just weird to me that like they don't really touch on the necrophiliac or like the
It's I think it's such a taboo subject that, like, yeah, you can say the word, but explaining any more than that, it's just so taboo that people are like, "We're not supposed to
yeah.
go there," you know?
Yeah. I mean,
I get it, because that's pretty gross, you know?
but and like I said, Animal's book doesn't even touch on it. Like I just don't understand like why it's like such a hush. Like obviously it's super disgusting. Like
And I think when it first started out, she was like, "Ted? No way, like, this is the guy that talks
oh
people
yeah,
down from the ledge, like, how could he do something like
yeah,
that?" But also, she did not fit the mold for what he was looking for, so there's no way she was gonna get
right.
murdered,
So they
like,
were
she
just
wasn't.
friends.
Yeah, they're just friends, like, she wasn't the slender version that he was looking for, wasn't younger. I'm not sure about any middle part brown hair stuff, but, she wasn't younger, so definitely was not
So they
what
were just
he was
friends.
looking for. Yeah, they were
Yeah.
friends. Yeah, yep.
Because you know, I just I did a little Google search on necrophilia. This like he would revisit the bodies and like groom him and apply
Brush their hair
makeup
and
and
stuff. Yeah,
yeah, and I'm like,
yeah.
oh,
So I think, again, he was a fairly good-looking guy, well-spoken, and I
charming,
did
smart.
yeah, and I did look up I think he was executed in, like, 1989 maybe or
9. Yeah.
somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah.
So, the public perception, again, changed on him because they shaved his hair to d the electrocution and all that.
Mm,
So, he went from being this guy with great hair, good looking to, like, shaved head, like, not maybe as good looking anymore. So, the perception kind of changed on that. People are like, "Ooh, he's
mm.
gross," you know? But
Well, he has
but
pretty,
I
like, scary eyes.
well, definitely, yeah. But also, what a spectacle in Florida. I hear that was crazy because they were, like, selling T-shirts, like, girl, if I could get my hand on one of those T-shirts, I would wear that sucker, like, oh my gosh.
What did
It's
it
like
say?
I think it was, like, something to do with, like, Fry Ted or something, but, like, just a piece of history, like, so
Yeah, like,
cool.
bonker.
I mean, not cool that he killed people, but, like, just, the historical aspect of
Yeah.
I don't even think they do electrical chair anywhere anymore. They do, like, the lethal injection.
Mm. It's pretty, like, pretty brutal.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. Where they don't do it anymore is because sometimes it doesn't work, and then they have to
Right.
refi them.
And it's brutal.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty inhumane, is that the right word?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
still legal in 9 states, Alabama, Arkansas. I feel like I'm singing that one song. Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Tennessee. I love that song. Like I still do. And I kind of just treat myself out that I just made it
You know
believe
who
it.
else is really good at singing that song? Taylor Swift.
Wait, what? No way.
Yeah, like, they have her on tape, like, singing that song.
That's so funny. Okay, so doing a deep dive, to going down the rabbit hole. Googs was like, did anyone survive the electric chair? And it sounds like in 1946, a 17-year-old. First of all, like, what the hell? Why is a
17.
17-year-old in the chair? And it did say that Willie Francis survived a botched execution. Could you imagine?
No,
Like, so it's kind of interesting, like the electric chair malfunctioned because it was improperly set up by a drunk guard. It's like,
I can see
what?
that.
Like that's pretty that like I'm surprised that it's still legal in 9 states. Want me to sing that song again? Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Dakota, and Tennessee. Like it is 2026. What? There's like they still do that, like, get with it, those states, like but yes, you're correct that the now it's, lethal injection.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, can you imagine, like, "Oh, strap him back up." No, thank you. No. No, no, no.
Sorry, but I'm like, I'm so weird, but, like, the smell? Could you
But
imagine, like
yeah, burning hair, flush.
ew,
Yeah, no, thank you. Like, bring back the firing squad first. Like, come on.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what,
totally.
that whole situation is just super weird.
Disclaimer for anyone who's been listening this whole time. We do not condone, like, any sort
No.
of, like,
Mm-mm.
weird view on
Uh,
it. We're just giving our opinions. We're not saying that we think people should murder people
or revisiting like, please don't go put makeup on the
on
chick that you just murdered, that's
yeah,
weird.
unless you're, like, a mortician, you shouldn't be putting makeup on
Yeah,
any dead
right.
body. So to close, the whole thing that kinda started this deep dive was our victim, Laura Ann Ames, and Laura's family said she wasn't just a Bundy victim. They described her as someone who loved the outdoors, animals, and making people laugh, a teenager whose life was cut short. So always remember the victims. These are people's lives that are changed forever.
So sad. Could you imagine?
I can't. Ugh. But on that note, everyone continue liking, subscribing, sharing with your buddies, your friends. Would love to get more than just the normal 45 people. Even though 45, like for having, as few episodes as we have, that's kind of impressive. But we'd love to have even more people. And, again, like we love having guest hosts. I'm sure I'll have Nancy back again sometime to talk
I
more.
hope so, because there's so many weird murders in Utah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Like that crazy chick that murdered her husband. Like she's like poisoned. It's Corey Richards. It's a very
So
recent
yeah.
case.
I know that one too. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, get this. So years ago, when I was like reading the Daily News, and I was reading this case, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like 45 minutes away from me, and all of a sudden I see a picture of my friend, and I'm like, what the fork? Why? And my friend passed away. She got in a car accident and died. But I was like, why is she in this news article? It's so weird. Okay, so Corey was married to Eric, and she murdered Eric, but Eric was married to my friend. And so like some of my friends like knew Eric.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
just it's just like crazy how you're connected sometimes. Like and that's like
Like,
yeah, that's
unintentionally.
like
Yeah.
yeah, literally I was just
Uh,
reading the article one morning and I was
and
like in the
she's
daily
isn't she the one who did the book
the
of, like,
book.
how to
Hmm.
move on with your kids?
Yeah.
Oh, evil, pure evil. Oh,
Meanwhile, she murdered her husband. Like, that's super bonkers. And, like, the Susan Powell case, like, obviously each state has like crazy murder stories. But I'm just like, what?
not as much as
Why?
Utah. I don't know, man. Like, Utah and Florida, they are both special places.
Why do you need to murder people? Just like, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
just
crazy.
just, like, get a job, get up, go to your
Go to
job,
therapy.
go to
Don't murder
therapy,
people,
maybe work
and
out after work, go
maybe go
home.
paddleboarding. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, don't carve out extra time to kill people.
This is really
We don't
weird.
want that. Alright, well, on that note, stay curious, and we'll see you next week.
And
Bye-bye.
definitely go down the rabbit hole because it's so fun.
Go down it, we
Bye.
dare you. Bye.